Hello, Yochi. Welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Well, I can hear you clearly. Am I okay right now?
You're good. Stay right on the phone, and we
okay,
should.
Great.
Yeah, good.
Great. Okay, good. That's lucky. Maybe the boys in Washington want us to talk about things.
Well, maybe so.
That have happened. That they would like someone to leak out, because they can't really do it themselves. Okay.
Well, there may be factions in doing that. Yeah.
Exactly. Major divisions and people who were participated in this covert operation to hijack the Malaysian airliners. And you know, every covert operation is compartmentalized by the planners. So no one gets a full picture. They only get a little detail of what they're going to do, their role in it. And increasingly, it looks like the Pentagon, especially the NSA, the National Security Agency, and the U.S. Air Force Space Command, were completely bamboozled. They were rooked by the Israelis. They only knew a little bit of the operation, thought there might be Iranian terrorists aboard who were going to capture people in the tech community aboard that plane. And so the U.S. obviously cooperated. None of the U.S. intelligence tracking this plane was ever released. There was one country that notably didn't offer any information,
None.
Although other countries volunteered. Okay? Although the United States along that route has massive. It has more tracking technology, more monitoring, radar technology, communications intercept than all the other players put together. And yet none of that information came up, because obviously the Pentagon got its hand caught in the cookie jar, but the cookies are gone. Someone took all the cookies already and left the Pentagon with it, red-handed inside the cookie jar, so they don't dare talk. But obviously, there are people inside the U.S. government who would like us to continue pushing this scope to find out what really happened.
Exactly.
What really happened.
Yeah.
And this is familiar with many, many other investigations, as you know. Peter doesn't know what Paul is doing and vice versa. And there's confusion all around because no one has the whole picture except the major planners, who obviously, in this case, all the roads, all the lines, everything, all the flight routes lead to one place, that's Israel. Okay, so let's get very clear. This was an Israeli operation. They didn't tell the American side the whole truth. They exploited all that American cooperation there. They used the America's main base in the Indian Ocean, Diego Garcia, to land the plane, refuel the plane, take the plane up the Red Sea into Israel to Eilat, the port of Eilat on the Gulf of Aqaba. They used that to take off the hijacked passengers, to sort them out, set them out, including an American citizen, who may have been, let's say, an informal American intelligence asset with IBM. In other words, they completely turned on the Americans. And as a result of all this, NSA, the head of the NSA, General Keith Alexander, who refused to resign, to switch over make any concession on the whole Snowden affair, who stood up against Dianne Feinstein in the Senate. This man, who they could not remove, after the MH370 exercise, he meekly steps down and disappears without a word, So obviously, the U.S. got completely bamboozled and rooked and betrayed by the Israelis, Once again, the lesson is, what have you learned since the U.S. Liberty was sunk? Right? The one lesson is, what have you learned?
Well, it didn't actually sink, but it should have. And the USS Liberty is one of the most ugly. It was blown to pieces, but it floated.
Over and over and over again of Americans being used, set up, betrayed, and thrown down the river, taking all the hits and damage, while Israel walks away whistling all the way to the bank, to whatever it took.
I love your idea of the Americans sticking their intelligence agency hand in a cookie jar, only to find that the cookies had already been removed. That's so typical. So typical of the Israeli operational mode that they use. It's amazing.
They got that 3-scale technology for the Consensus microchip. They got all the hostages that they wanted of value. They got the airplane, which they might use when they coordinated attacks.
So let's just say, Diego Garcia refueling. The plane takes off. Most people would certainly first ask about your idea of what happened to the human souls on that plane. What's your best guess? And the idea that Philip would be a man on board. They'd want somebody on board during this kind of an operation for whatever reason, and he could have been that guy. I mean, here's a guy who's got a background that you've done some remarkable research on his background. And wait till you hear what Yoshi has found out about his partner. Oh, this gets really good. So what do you think happened to the
explosive.
What happened to the people?
This is just one. Okay, I understand. This is a complicated drama. Lots of moving parts. A lot of human assets. Okay, major operation with lots of goals and targets. Okay, so we got to remember it's a complex picture that is woven here. But Phil Wood, he's from Texas. He's a second-generation IBM computer programmer, Keller, Texas. A deeply Christian man. He's been working. He was assigned to Malaysia 2 years ago to work on basically on memory, on a large-scale memory. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, in November 2013, when all the wheels were in motion, when this lady from Lockheed was dropped into Freescale to be the watchdog, when the airplanes were transferred, the jets, the Boeing 777s, one was transferred to Malaysian Airlines, the lease, the other was sent to Israel secretly. Okay, there's a secret. All these things are happening in November, just a few months before this incident. Okay, now Phil Wood, at that time, that same critical month in November, it was announced that IBM, that Freescale Semiconductors, which developed the world's smallest microchip, which can be used both for civilian purpose for ultra small, machines, and also for military purposes. For
Military
very tiny
first,
robots that are hardly
civilian
visible.
second. Yeah.
Exactly. Tiny little robots which would be used, sent in the millions, in a war to kill people, to spy, whatever you want them to do. Anyway, and in November, Freescale announced that they would use the IBM cloud. It's called the Smart Cloud system for a lot of its corporate memory, for a lot of its technological memory. So IBM and Freescale were moving closer together. They already had a joint production alliance in certain steps. So increasingly, it looked like IBM was moving for a takeover of Freescale technology. Now, Freescale is actually owned right now by Blackstone, a private equity company in which, due to the collapse of the Lehman Brothers, Kuhn Loeb, and so on, that right now the majority shareholder is the Rothschild Group under Sir Lord Jacob Rothschild in London, okay? So basically, the Rothschilds are seeing their assets slip away, their hold on this company slip away, as American interests are starting to move in to take over this company with this microchip, okay?
Do you know anything, Yoshi, excuse me,
yeah?
Do you know anything about the story that with the alleged or apparent deaths of 4 of the Freescale employees, that the patent of this device reverted in its entirety to the Rothschilds? Do you know anything about that, or was that just a canard?
Yeah, well, I am not sure, but there was a patent, I don't think on that chip, but on one of the functions of that chip.
Okay.
Which, it's like that sort of disappeared with the airline, this whole patent. So there's a patent struggle. Obviously, there's a huge struggle by the Israelis to get control of this chip and all the associated technologies with that. Yeah. So Phil Wood basically was doing the cloud computing. He got a promotion to move to Malaysia permanently with his girlfriend from Beijing, American girl from Beijing, and basically he would have done all the cloud computing for the Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia branch of Freescale, which developed the Kinesis chip. The Kinesis chip was basically developed in Kuala Lumpur, the thing the whole world was fighting for, okay?
Okay.
The Americans and the Israelis are tussling over. Then, turns out, okay, that we get on the gemstone, whoever he is, whatever he is, I'm not even sure he's a person or if he's just a fictitious puppet for somebody.
Well, that's the byline he uses.
Controversial stories. Yeah, the controversial stories that he's put out before, which are sort of over the top, obviously disinfo. But in this case, he put out a credible story here that Phil Wood sent a selfie of himself. Like he was put into a hood. He was on the pastures on MH370. A hood was put on his face. He was locked into a dark room while all the other passengers, where many of the other passengers were taken to another place. He hid his cell phone in his pants, okay, in his pants, where it went by. He kept it out of his pocket. And then he took a selfie of himself, totally dark. You can get sort of an outline of the hood. And he sent a message somewhere. Now, the somewhere that he dialed to was obviously his girlfriend in Beijing, okay?
His fiancée, Sarah Bajik, B-A-J-C, she's an American from Utah, a marketing executive in Beijing, who prior to coming to China was the managing director, this is big time, of Tescom, the top Israeli software testing company. She was the managing director of the Tescom Corporation, the top Israeli software testing company. Tescom's biggest client is Rafael Aerospace, which controls the remote piloting, system, remote piloting system, and other avionics, advanced drones marketed through Israel Aircraft Industries, otherwise known as IAI. I want to say that again. She was the managing director, the big boss of Tescom. Tescom's biggest client, Rafael Aerospace, which controls the remote piloting system and other avionics, advanced drones marketed through Israeli Aircraft Company Industries. All right, now that should tell you something right there. Rafael Aerospace, and again they use Tescom, have their avionics in, now get this, they're used, this is an Israeli company, they're on F-16s, F-15s, A-4s, C-130s, C-26s, T-6s, Super Tucano, Jaguars, MiG-27, MiG-29, Sukhoi 30, helicopters, and others, and on a wide and continuously growing range of UAVs or drones. Now, here's an Israeli company with key software, key technology on board Russian, Eastern Bloc so-called, and Western, frontline fighters, aircraft of all kinds. This is wild stuff. She was a big shot.
So you can understand the radar silence over the whole region. They got their hand on the switch.
Yeah.
And Tescom's got an office. Tescom's got a major office in nearby Singapore, and they were setting up an operation in Malaysia. Now, suddenly, after this incident, Tescom's Singapore website is down. It's offline now. Okay? So they got these are the guys who are doing all the manipulation, Tescom. And after, Sarah Bajik, after, she went a bit berserk there in grief over her boyfriend being hooded by the Israeli special forces there, thrown into a dark chamber as the others were being taken off to their deaths. They silenced her.
Even though some of the reports referred to two Phils, and they did, I saw them, the guy's name is actually Paul Weeks, but I guess the reporters got confused. It's Phil Wood and Paul Weeks. So some of the news reports were confused in the beginning. Now, the most important thing I want you folks to do, though, is let's go take a look at the pictures of Diego Garcia. I want you to understand the size of this piece of property, the logistics of it. It's a very large piece of land. It's an atoll, A-T-O-L-L. You can call it an island. It's certainly big enough for that. But if you scroll down to guests at rents, look for Diego Garcia photos. There's an enormous deep water anchorage inside. It's a perfect base for all kinds of things.